What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and I just wanted to make a follow-up video to the video I made last night because several of you via Reddit, Twitter, and then also Morris from EN World posted all of the original pictures that were on the Wizards of the Coast Instagram that have the dates. Now, I also wanted to clarify that, one, everything that I'm going to be showing you here is what was announced to be coming in 2024, not in the future. They were all listed for 2024. The other side of it is, just to clarify, in the panel that we were in, they showed images on screen that all had, qualifying taglines, or this image or whatever it is subject to change. But after the panel ended, which was again live streamed on the Penny Arcade Twitch channel, that entire, which I've almost never seen before, that entire panel was almost immediately uploaded to the Wizards of the Coast YouTube channel and probably potentially as scheduled posts. All of those images of everything that was announced were dropped on their social media. However, those images were different than the images we saw in the panel, because the ones we saw in the panel did not have that line that said releasing with a release date. So these are fundamentally different images in that they have that releasing with a release date. Now, whether they were supposed to release those or not is uncertain. They didn't say anything about release dates in the panel itself. I had even made a post that during the panel I thought the Monster Manual was going to be the first to be released. It seems that that's not the case. It says core rulebooks, May 2024, but I don't know if that was intentional because the image they showed was that of the fighter. So the way I read that is that means the player's handbook will be releasing in May. And I don't know if that's why, but all of those images, like I said, that had the releasing tagline, all of those images were taken down and then re-uploaded without the release dates. So yeah, perhaps those release dates are subject to change. It does call into question some things about, like, if the Monster Manual or in this case probably what seems to be the player's handbook, or potentially all three core rulebooks. I don't really know how it's going to go. At the Content Creator Summit in April, we were told it would be a staggered release, in that we would not get all three at once. We'd get one and then the next and then the next, kind of in some sort of phased rollout, which to me always made sense given the fact that there's supposed to be, more play tests. And if that was the case, you could, say you finish play testing everything for the player's handbook, you release that one first, and in the meantime, while that's getting its playtest finished, you could release playtest for, say, the Dungeon Master's Guide or whatever you want to release, and then those books would come out later. And this mimics what we saw in 2014. For those of you who were there and remember, we got the Player's Handbook first. We actually got adventure modules in the Tyranny of Dragon modules in the starter set before we got the Monster Manual. Excuse me, and then ultimately before we got the Dungeon Master's Guide. So, would it be great to get all three at once? Sure. It also would be a pretty significant hit to your wallet if you have to buy all, well, you don't have to, but if you're going to buy all three 2024 books together right out the gate, unless they're going to do some sort of box set where they cut or change the price. But the point is, they released the images with the release date, took those images down, and then re-released those images without the release date associated with them. So I don't know, like I said, if this was a mistake, if this was whatever it is, but I thought it's worth talking about and showing. And I mean, ultimately, we'll see, right? And some people brought it up in one of my posts that in February is usually one of the investor calls for Hasbro. And around that time frame is usually when we start to get, like, leaks and information about stuff that may be coming out in 2024. So if we hear in February, or maybe even from an official Wizards of the Coast source over the next couple of weeks, that these are coming out in May, well, then we know that those leaked release dates were real. Otherwise, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here is Vecna, Eve of Ruin. This is the new level 1 to 20, or actually, the new campaign that we know goes to 20. It was not stated whether it's 1 to 20, just goes to 20. Releasing 5/1/2024, so May 21st. We have it says again, 2024 core rulebooks with the same date. Again, my interpretation is that it is just probably the player's handbook, but it would make sense to release, if you wanted to release all three, release them alongside your brand new campaign that is supposed to have touch on a bunch of characters that have already been present in 5th edition, and then also characters from D&D's past that we haven't seen in 5e. We then have, we scroll up a little bit, Quests from the Infinite Staircase. This is releasing in, or supposedly releasing in July. This is a new anthology series. We have the Making of Dungeons and Dragons from 1970 to 1976, sort of historical chronicle retrospective, like almost documentary style book, set to release in June. This is probably the most innocuous one because it's not going to give you new content for the game. It's just a historical, interesting like document book, and it's supposed to have a whole bunch of unreleased correspondence and cool stuff. They've worked with, obviously gaming historians on it. So if this release date is the same, that doesn't really impact us one way or another. And then again, there's Descent into the Lost Caverns of Socanth. I don't know how you pronounce it. And I misspoke in my last video. This is not an anthology. It is a short adventure designed to be played in a single session, however you choose to play it, whether in person, at a shop, online. And then again, we'll have tournament scoring rules to kind of be reminiscent of some old school stuff. And that was basically it. But again, for whatever reason, Wizards of the Coast uploaded those. And like I said, it was like immediately after the panel, which to me was a shock because we were just in a panel where you were announcing things and you chose to not tell us release dates. And then you immediately make social media posts with release dates. Again, subsequently pulled down, which again feels like that was maybe a mistake. Maybe they were supposed to scrub the release dates off the images and release those, kind of like what they showed us in the panel. Maybe those posts were already scheduled and they didn't realize, and then they just came out. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll get a statement from Wizards of the Coast. Those of you out there, keep an eye. You never know. Amazon, sometimes stuff crops up with release dates or more information about what to expect. I don't anticipate us seeing like posts on any Wizards of the Coast style thing and listing these books till sometime in the new year. But you never know. Stuff like that crops up all the time. So anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this in the comments down below. If you're here at PAX Unplugged, I'll be around the show floor. I'm also doing a meet and greet at the Alchemy booth at 3 p.m. today, where there'll be free swag and cookies and coffee, so feel free to swing by for that. I'm also going to try to make a point to get to the Baldman Games room where they're doing the gameplay, because it looks like they're showing off more of the encounter builder for the virtual tabletop. Now, I haven't seen the virtual tabletop in a couple of months. I played with it at the Content Creator Summit. I did a closed beta or closed alpha of it, and the closed beta of that virtual tabletop is supposed to be releasing, I believe, to D&D Beyond users this month. So there might be new updates to that encounter builder that we'll see if we go to that room. So whatever I can film or talk about, we'll try to get that in here as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.